Greetings everybody, it's me, Lady Bitterness. Thank you for returning to my channel, Lady Bitterness Astrology and Tarot. I'm going to do another Bitter Truth weekly forecast for the week of May 2nd through May 8th. Real quick, just to clarify, I am a Western tropical astrologer, so I will be using that system. And yeah, these are just my interpretations of the current planetary alignments in the sky right now. So take whatever resonates with you, and if it doesn't resonate, then just leave it on the table. Okay, so let's get started with this week. This week, we are going to be in a waxing moon phase. So I like to call this phase the experimental phase, where we are kind of getting, we're just getting started, we're just getting things off the ground, and we have to kind of experiment, trial and error. Yeah, so it's mainly about taking our first steps forward, the first couple of roadblocks we could be meeting, and the first couple of challenges that we have to kind of like push through. During a waxing phase, the moon is gaining light, so therefore expect to hopefully be gaining some energy, gaining some motivation throughout this week. But now let's get into the actual weekly events. So this week is actually a little bit, I want to say it's quieter. There's just not so much happening transit-wise. We're kind of still getting over the eclipse because we're still very much within eclipse season. So we're kind of still dealing with that energy. But there are some changes this week that are going to be important, so we'll get into that. First major thing that's happening this week is that Venus will be moving into Aries. So what does this mean? Whenever Venus changes a sign, our priorities shift. Venus is our evaluation function. It helps us determine what we value the most, what's most important to us, and why. So it helps us prioritize. So when Venus moves into Aries, we're going to, of course, then prioritize Aries themes, Aries qualities. What are those? Aries is the first fire sign of the zodiac. It's the first sign in general of the zodiac, and it's a cardinal fire sign. So it's very much about taking initiative. It's very much about giving the self permission to act on its desires. With Venus here, there's an appreciation for that type of independence, an appreciation for that type of self-starting, an appreciation for self-respect, healthy self-respect. The way that I think about this transit is that Venus is kind of the first planet, other than obviously the Sun and Mercury, but Venus is one of the first planets that are moving through Aries this year. It'll be shortly followed by Jupiter, and then Mars will enter Aries too later this month. So, what does this mean? When Venus travels through a sign before other planets, it kind of scopes out the area a little bit. Like it goes to the sign and it's like, okay, what do I like? What do I prefer? What do I dislike? What do I hate? What do I love? And then when other planets go through the sign, then we sort of take those evaluations, right? And then make something of it, go towards something or remove something or yada, yada, yada. But Venus is going to move through Aries first and help us decide what kind of independence do we prefer? What kind of like solo activities do we like? Where do we want to start giving ourselves more permission instead of overly considering other people? When can we start to be like, okay, I want this, I'm gonna go get that. That's what this Venus transit is going to help us out with. So this actually happens on May 2nd, and it'll stay in Aries until May 27th. So we have a couple of weeks here with this energy. Second major thing happening this week, it's going to happen between the dates of like May 3rd to May 5th. We'll feel it the most strongly. And essentially the Sun is in Taurus, and it's going to closely conjunct Uranus this week. Uranus has been in Taurus since like 2018. It's a slower moving transit, but when the Sun comes to join with this planet of Uranus, it's almost like a renewal of their relationship together. So what is the Sun? The Sun is the transiting sun, I see it as kind of shining a bright light over that area of life or over that sign that it's in. And it kind of brings most of our attention to that area of life where we kind of have to act, we have to like perform in the external world for that month, that kind of thing. The transiting sun does still rule over our sense of confidence, and the transiting sun can give us the vitality and the energy and the confidence to act on what we need to in that area of life, this being Taurus right now. Uranus is the planet of chaos, disruption, disturbance to our complacency. It does not like being stagnant. It shakes things up, right? And due to that level of chaos, it's very much a planet that achieves autonomy, achieves living by our own rules, that kind of thing. It's the planet of liberation. It really hates rules, structure, tradition, that kind of stuff. So when the Sun and the Uranus conjoin through transit, there is going to be a bigger theme then of autonomy and independence. We're also going to experience probably a more distinct and strong restlessness in the area of our life that we feel incredibly stuck in, because that's what Uranus does as well. Is Uranus makes us feel very restless and like needy for a change, needy for something different than what we're doing right now. We can feel very trapped in the area of life that Uranus sits, and we can feel like we need to break free. When the Sun comes to conjoin Uranus, it's gonna make that even more apparent to us. Yeah, so essentially we're really coming to terms with where we need to develop more autonomy, because we're really not going to be getting the type of support that maybe we thought we would, or that we expected, or that is rightfully ours. Like right now with Uranus and the North Node both being in Taurus, we're very much learning that in the end, we can only rely on ourselves. Taurus is very much about self-reliance, self-sufficiency. And so throughout this year, last year, next year, these themes are really, really significant to us. And the Sun coming into the picture is only emphasizing that and making it very clear what's keeping us stagnant, or what's keeping us tied to the ground, what we need to liberate ourselves from, and how we should do that. And the last major event happening this week is going to last throughout the whole week. Venus in Aries is going to be sextiling Mercury in Gemini. So what does this mean? So we've got cardinal fire, which is Aries, meeting up with mutable air, which is Gemini. Cardinal fire is takes the initiative to start something, right? And then mutable air is trying to gather and collect as much information and stimuli as it possibly can to make sure that it knows all of its options before making a decision. So these two signs can really help each other, because Aries has the guts, I guess you could say, to start something, and Gemini has the curiosity to learn, and to learn by doing would be a great phrase for these two signs coming together. With it being Venus and Mercury, this very much has to do with our ability to communicate successfully to other people. So our conversations, our interactions with other people can go a lot better. Our communication abilities can be improving a little bit this week. It can just be a little bit easier to get our point across to other people possibly this week with the sextile. So this could be a great opportunity to come into maybe healthier agreements with other people in your life. Have respectful yet having respectful conversations where both parties can get their needs met, not shying away from conflict. Venus in Aries is not one to shy away from conflict usually. This could be a time to ask a bunch of people like what they know, what their opinion is, and not so that you just like completely follow other people's advice, right? We're dealing with more Aries energy, so we're not really going to want to take other people's advice, but kind of just checking like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What would you do here? Do you have any information about this? Do you know anything about this? That could help us make our own independent choice in the end. So yeah, not too much to say this week. I think that we're still just feeling a very strong influence from the eclipse, the solar eclipse in Taurus that happened last week. And so this week is kind of just like a buffering almost moment before next week, which is when everything is happening. So I will probably have a longer video for next week. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about this week. So thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a great first week of May. And if you would like to learn more about your chart specifically, if you have questions about your natal chart, I do offer readings. You can find them on my website, ladybinnersastrology.com. And yeah, thanks, right? Bye.